Hi and welcome to the OCR Review, a podcast that covers all things OCR from all around the world.
The first truly international OCR podcast. We are from the UK, living in Asia and following the US racing scene to bring you a holistic overview of what's going on in OCR globally.
Okay. Hello and welcome to episode 15 of the OCR Review. With races still on hold for everywhere except America, we are taking the time to really focus on the inspirational athletes that we've got right here in our community. So today we're welcoming our youngest athlete yet. Welcome Hera to the show. We'll be chatting to find out more about how she got into OCR, her training, and what she's looking forward to when races return. So, Hera, how are you doing?
I'm good. Circuit breaker it's tough, it's rough. Yeah.
I totally
Definitely.
feel you, absolutely. And I've got little ones in the background as well. Hi, Jada. We'll get straight into the questions. My first question for you, obviously I've mentioned that you are our youngest athlete. Can you just tell everyone listening, how old are you and how did you first get into OCR?
I am 15 and I first got into OCR. Well, Jada and I, we really wanted to do a kids race. We saw it on an ad on TV. So in 2016, we did our first Spartan kids race in Tampines. Yeah,
Amazing.
and it was just for fun, but we really had we had so much fun. We had to go back again. And yeah, that's how we got into it.
So it actually came about that you and Jada got the whole family into it because your parents now do it as well, correct?
Yeah, we made mommy do it. She was really reluctant to do her first race, but now she's crazy. She's the one telling us we have to go for this race and this race and this race.
That's amazing. And I think that's what's really special about you guys is that you've made it a whole family thing, which is awesome.
Yeah.
As a family, what is kind of the biggest experience that you've had within OCR? I know that you guys have traveled a lot. Which one sticks out in your mind?
I think it's the races we did in the US because both we did two races in the US. Both of it was in winter, so it was a really different experience for us. Yeah, we had a lot of fun suffering together.
Totally different climate. That's crazy. Was one of the races that you did a kids race as well?
Yeah, the first time we went to the US, I did the Spartan Kids World Championships. Yeah. It was in Nevada, really sandy desert, but it was too cold.
That makes no sense. And how did you find that experience? So how old were you then when you took on the Kids World Champs?
I was 14. I was 14. Oh yeah, 13 turning 14. Yes.
Amazing.
It was,
and
yeah, it was fun.
I imagine that that's an age that most children haven't ever done a competitive race. I know that at that age I hadn't. How did you prepare for that yourself?
Well, it was just, I was still really young, so weights wasn't really a go-to option. So it was a lot of body weight exercises, just pushing myself, making sure my endurance is just ready, and taking a lot of ice baths to prepare myself for the cold.
Amazing. I love that at that point you already had that dedication to your training. So you mentioned that you'd taken on the race for fun. Were you already doing competitive sports at school? Had you had that experience of that kind of competitive nature, or did you get thrown in at the deep end with that World Champs?
I was being thrown in. I am not really a competitive person by nature. I do a lot of art. I'm an artsy person. I never thought I would be this crazy sports maniac. But yeah, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
And when did you find that it took over as something that you've obviously managed to channel that now because you've now moved into, and we'll come on to that in a bit, you've moved from, you've race age group, you've done an elite race. How did you, for other people who maybe are feeling that they're not so competitive or they're not used to that, how were you able to make that switch?
Well, I had something to work to. So when I first did competitive kids races, it was still like, it was a bit weird. I wasn't sure if I should be super competitive, because when we're doing open, it's just all for fun, right? We're helping everyone, we're just laughing, chilling. So when I qualified for the Kids World Championships, that really drives me to give my best in all my competitive races. Yeah, I think a good thing, a good tip is to have a drive, to have something you're working towards. That will really give you that competitive edge.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you find the competition? Obviously, we tend to see in the elite field that America is the best of the best for the elite women and men. Did you find that was the case for the kids as well? Were you getting there and finding that the kids in America were kind of far surpassing everyone else that was flying in?
In a sense, the top few kids athletes were Americans, but we were still, and Canadians. They were
Okay, yeah.
fast. Yeah. But it's hard to say. We don't have a big pool of athletes to compete with their. They have a lot of athletes. We probably have 5, 6, a small handful of competitive kids athletes. So I think if we just start growing more, we could be, we could get there. We could get them.
Absolutely. Hera, I'd back you entirely. And I think you're right. I think OCR in itself is so new, and I think it's a big deal to travel to a world champs as an adult. So being able to make that happen for children, I think you guys are really lucky because you do it as a family. I wonder actually if trying to get that move for it being seen as a professional sport and that then being seen as something that's important at a younger age will be really exciting, which leads me on to you being the first person in Singapore to do something pretty impressive. So can you talk me through your schooling currently and what that looks like?
So I'm in sports school, right? Being in sports school, they give us more time to have proper training and rest. So they will help us manage that. There is a very good and clear balance between our studies and our sports. So in before I came to sports school, I spent a lot of time doing my homework and studying. But now when I'm there, I have a clear, like, half of my day is dedicated to my studies, while the other half, which is a good amount, is just solely for training. Yeah, so
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that now? Obviously, things are a little bit on pause at the minute, but
yeah, I think it's been about 4 months.
Okay, and did you settle into that quite quickly? Because am I right in thinking that you're the only one who is focused on OCR within that sports school?
Yeah, settling in was tough. It was hard to not train with my family. It was just being alone, wandering alone, walking into the gym alone. Yeah, but I've gotten used to it, and it's cool. It's fun. Yeah.
And the reason that you're alone is not because that you're not a lovely person that everyone wants to be friends with. It's just that there is literally no one else who is there for OCR. So you're really selling yourself short, Hera. But let's just really focus on this. You are the first person in the whole of Singapore who has been given a specific place to represent the sport of OCR. Am I correct?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And you're definitely far too humble about that. That is really, really just incredible. And I think it's really refreshing to see that that's being taken seriously. And obviously, everyone within OCR wants that to become bigger and better. And there's always word of the Olympics. And I think actually that's a really exciting step towards that, even if it is just you currently. Hopefully, we'll see that continue to grow. Do you find that? Obviously, you've got Jada. So Jada's, how old is Jada?
She's 12. She's turning 12.
So she's a little bit younger. You've got that bit of a gap there. So not joining you at sports school just yet, but she is a incredibly impressive kids athlete as well. Do you have much of a community of people your age that you find are interested in OCR? Do they think that you're mad? What is the general consensus there?
There is a really, really small pool of kids my age, our age, that are interested in OCR, and none of them are taking it really competitively. They're doing the race, they're enjoying it, they're having fun, but which is a good thing. But
Absolutely.
they're not going into the competitive segment of the whole OCR. So I've asked a couple of them who have expressed their interest to me. Why are they not pursuing this competitive track?
Yeah.
uh, uh they're really nervous. They're not sure if they would like to hit on this path. So
Mm-hmm.
I think,
And what are their
yeah,
reservations? Do they express what it is they're nervous about?
no, they do not. But I would assume, I mean, training for OCR is tough.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do a lot of things. So I think the commitment could be intimidating.
Mm-hmm. Do you find there's a
Yeah.
difference? So I'm just thinking about, for you as an athlete, it's a bit different now that you're running age group and thinking about elite, but when you're running, and especially when you're running those age group races, there's nothing more frustrating than not having a podium filled. Because I don't know if you feel this as well, but when you're training
Yeah.
really hard, and I know that you're training really hard, you don't want to win just because no one else
There's
showed
no
up.
one.
Yeah. Is that
Yeah.
something that you had an experience with?
Yes, especially my first few age groups, the podium wasn't really filled up. There were many times where I could be the only person there, or there would just be one other person. It feels good to win, but
Hmm.
then I start questioning myself, like, did I really win it because I did well, or was it just because there's no one there? That it makes me sad, but at the same time makes me want to work harder so that when people do start entering, when I keep calling people to enter and they really enter, I can still win.
Absolutely. And I think that shows your dedication, and it shows how inspiring you are, that you want to race the best that you can and not just win because no one else showed up. So I think the fact that you're reaching back and trying to bring other girls into the sport already at your age is amazing, because even at my age, it's something that people are hesitant about. They're not sure, they're not confident enough.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that you're doing that already is just incredible. So well done you. Hopefully we'll get you many podiums filled. So you took on your first elite race last year.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the race itself, and also where did that decision come from? What led to that?
It was actually a pretty last minute decision. I wasn't even supposed to go on that trip. I was supposed to be in school.
No
And
way.
then I think, yeah, a few days before the trip, my mom asked, "So, you want to do elite?" I was doing my homework and I was like, "What?" But after much persuasion from my parents, I decided to go. And everything was fine, but the night before, we went to eat some prawn noodles, I think,
Prawns
or
before a
some.
race? You're crazy.
We went to eat something, and then I had food poisoning.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hera. But
and I was sick, but I still ran.
you still
Yeah,
ran. You still ran. That's amazing.
yeah. I mean, I skipped school, so you should just give it my all.
Oh my goodness. Well, food poisoning sounds terrible. I mean, it comes back to your dedication. I love that you still did the race anyway. Food poisoning aside, did it feel like there was a big jump in terms of how you'd normally feel on the start line with your age group compared to how it felt on the start line with the elites? Was that a big jump for you?
But yeah, it was so much more scary. Even when we're at the start line for age group, it is already really intimidating. You see everyone really pumped, really ready for the race. Being uh, it was really scary. I I couldn't say anything. I was just there trying to keep myself warm, trying to not feel the nerves, trying to not get to me. Yeah, it was really scary.
I totally get that. That is exactly how I felt when I moved to Elite for the first time. So I feel you there. It doesn't get any better when you're middle-aged either. And so then how did you do in the race? Obviously we had food poisoning, but how did you feel like you performed, if we can kind of put that to the side? Were you happy?
I feel like I could have performed better, but I'm glad that the last gauntlet, because this was in Sarawak, right? So there was the last gauntlet. I I saw an opportunity to get to the podium, and I really just gave it my all. I just powered through everything, just rush, and keep pushing. And yeah, I got to the podium. So
You
I was
did
proud of that one.
indeed. And
Yeah,
that
I
is, so that's your, go on.
yeah I I I saw when I reached the gauntlet, there were there was a third and fourth place. I was at fifth place, so I saw the two of them, and it's the last push. So I just tried, and I overtook both of them. So
And where did you
yeah,
end up finishing, for those people that don't know?
I got third.
You got third place. So you went, and I was there in that gauntlet, and that was a tough end. I think there were about 6 obstacles back to back to back there. That was a
Yeah.
nasty finish to a race. So you went from 5th to 3rd in the space of a couple of minutes. And I think for your first elite race, that is just amazing. So huge congratulations to you. It just goes to show what that hard work and dedication can do at the age that you're at, to already have a podium from an elite race under your belt. That's incredible. So we obviously don't have any races currently, and the year has gone a little bit haywire. When things come back, are you going to carry on racing elite?
I'll stick to age group first. Maybe I think for the major races like the C series and stuff in future, those I will still stick to age group until I think I'm ready for an elite race. But I might just go for some elite races. Might.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see.
And I think that's a really nice balance to have, because obviously having that accumulation of points for a series, you've got an incredible chance of doing really, really well in your age group. So I kind of totally get that decision. That's great. But I think it would be an absolute loss for you not to do some elite races, because you clearly have got those capabilities in your training for sure. What would you say, is there any advice you could give someone who is thinking about making the jump? They've been racing age group, they're not sure whether or not to stand on that elite start line for the first time. What advice could you give them?
I'd say if you have thoughts, you should just go for it. Don't keep thinking about those thoughts. It gets really scary, and you might not want to do it anymore, right? So just go for it, try. Then once you finish your first elite race, then you'll see whether you're ready or not.
Amazing.
And yeah, you have to have fun.
Yeah. Still got to enjoy it. Yeah, that totally resonates with me as well. There was definitely that moment of, I need to still make sure I enjoy this and not just spend the whole time being absolutely terrified of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's some really, really sound advice. Okay, so you are a family of OCR athletes, and you've obviously been very lucky to have that support as kind of a whole unit, which I think is a credit to you guys and the progress you've made, but obviously the way that you inspire the rest of the community. Have you found at all, a lot of the things that we kind of now focus on with women as athletes is, we obviously still see disparities, not so much in Spartan, but in other sports, in terms of different prize monies for different genders and different kind of viewpoints on where we stack up and whether or not we're capable. As someone who is kind of going through school still, have you had experiences of like limitations, people holding you back, or is that not something that you found?
I can't deny it is definitely still out there. This discrimination on gender, right? People still joke about it, but there are some actions where they do that you can see. Like, for example, when teachers ask to carry certain items, they would ask for the guys to do it. Yeah, so I would just say, why not me?
I'll take it.
I can carry it. But I have to say it has improved. It has improved. Yeah. But I am really fortunate that the people I'm surrounded with, my family, my friends, people in OCR, the people I train with, right? They're all really, really wary of not being discriminating and motivating us when it is it is more challenging for us. But they they will still push us. They don't say you can't do this, it's not for women, you know. Yeah, I think that's what's important. The support is what's important.
Absolutely. And do you find yourself with your female friends, like you've said yourself, that I'm happy to speak out and say I can carry that, like you're obviously being kind of proactive in that sense. Do you often find that you're reaching back to other friends and kind of bringing them forward as well?
Yeah, there are some times when my friends are afraid to say certain things. I'll just help them say it.
Amazing. I think they're very lucky to have you as a friend, Hera. Okay, let's talk a little bit about training. Now, we're in a time where gyms are closed here. We can obviously still get outside in running sense, but I know that from speaking to a lot of people, some people are finding it really hard to stay motivated and train in general. How have you found it? Are you still sticking to your program? Are you finding that a struggle? Where are you at?
I make tweaks to my program to like certain. I do have a lot of equipment at home that I'm really fortunate for. I'm really fortunate. My dad has bought core bag. We have dumbbells. We have a barbell. We have two barbells.
You've got a whole gym.
But yeah, we have like a mini home gym. But there are times where I do not get where I lose my motivation, and sometimes I'll get back on track when daddy nags me to like, you have to train, you have to train. But when I really feel like it's just dry, right? I start watching those live videos from the Spartan races, those like the US national series. I just watch those. Yeah, I feel I get very motivated from that. Yeah, it motivates me.
That's great. That's a good tip as well, to kind of pull back out those videos, and there's lots of content there to kind of remind us why we are training. It can be tricky when the races actually aren't happening. But it sounds like you've got a great home gym set up. Who puts your programming together? Do you do that yourself?
I'm slowly trying to get there myself. So now I have my dad help me. He will he will ask me what I would like to improve and where I would like to get. Then he will just help me create a program, and I will add in whatever I feel is necessary. But I am trying to take up a few courses to and study more to make sure I'm able to plan my own training.
It's amazing. So not only are you competing at a high level, you are also planning your own training at such a young age. You are amazing. I think you are a huge inspiration to a whole lot of people, Hera. So really well done. I know that you are constantly inspiring me, and the whole of your family are just incredible. So yeah, that's great. So you are my inspiration. You talk about watching previous races and things like that. Who, other than your family, because I know that they are hugely inspiring to you, is there anyone outside of your kind of family circle, other racers, books that you've read? Who else is an inspiration for you?
Well, there is, of course, the elite of Singapore. There is like Joelle, there is you, and there's Emily, and there's Lucy, and then there's Tahir and Sam. I mean, you guys are doing really well. You guys really inspire me. That I have inspirations from like the US, but I think you guys are really you guys really make me want to do my best. Seeing you guys do really well, getting podium, still pushing even when it's hard. Like I've seen you guys race in real life, right in
tears in
front of
our
me.
eyes.
I've seen you guys train. I've seen you guys race. That it really inspires me. I want to be like you guys. So yeah.
I think you're already there. You have got such an amazing base that I cannot wait to see where you're at when you are as old as us. So we talk about kind of the journey of OCR. What for you is that distant goal? So obviously for now we just want races to come back, but you're still training. When you look forward to the future, what have you got those big goals set on?
So there's been a lot of talks about the Olympics, right? About the Olympics having in 2028.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 8 years. I'm trying to make my way to get to the Olympics. Yeah, that's my long-term goal.
And that is amazing. And I think you are doing all the right things to make that a reality. I would love to sit and watch you on TV and be like, it's Hera, she's on the Olympics. That would be, just incredible. Okay, so we learn that OCR is ever changing. We're always having to adapt and overcome. Give me your biggest lesson that you've learned along the way. It might be mid-race, it might be part of your training, but what's been that moment of kind of realization or, oh my goodness, this is going to change this for you?
Oh, that was actually my transition from the kids race to the adults race. That was what really hit me, like, this is going to be tough. So when I was doing kids race, the obstacles were small. So they were half the size of the adult obstacles. And I was quite tall. I was tall enough to jump over the obstacles and clear them effortlessly. So, and the weights were lighter. Everything was a simplified version. So
yeah, that's really, I hadn't thought
it
about
was,
the fact.
yeah, it was still tiring because I was running, but the race in general was a breeze. So when I did my first um uh when I did my first adult race, it was with my dad. It was in Sentosa. It was an open race, but my dad said I had to go for timing, right? So we were running and he was pushing me, and I didn't and I didn't realize how much an impact of the obstacles would have on me. The distance, the longer distances already scares me when I first moved in. But as I was running, yeah, the obstacles, those were a big challenge.
And was that open race the first time you'd got your hands on the adult obstacles, or had you seen them outside of that?
I've been to so many Spartan events when I was doing kids race, but I never see the adult obstacles.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I was so fixated on the kids ones, right? But yeah, it was really a big gap and I wasn't training as much as I am now, so that definitely contributed to that huge jump.
That's really interesting. So you did the open with your dad in Sentosa, and then when did you transition to that first age group standing on the start line? Which race was that? How long past?
It was my next race.
Of course,
and it was a beast.
It was a beast.
Yeah, my first adult race was in Sentosa. I'm not sure when was it. It was in October.
Okay.
Oh, it was in August. And then my next race was, so that race was a sprint. And then the next race was a beast in Fahin in
Okay.
October.
Amazing. And Hua Hin in Thailand, yeah?
Year end. Yeah, it was
So
year
this is,
end.
and that was a very hot race, am I right?
Yes, but surprisingly, the heat did not get to me. I was
Okay.
quite shocked. It was hot, but it was 42 degrees Celsius, friend.
But it didn't bother you.
And I was wearing long sleeves, but it did not bother me. The elevation was, that killed me. I was taken aback. I cried.
Oh.
It traumatized me. I
Oh
was really
no.
shocked.
But you got it
Yeah.
out. Did you make it to the end?
Yeah, I did. I caught up with mommy.
No. So mum had gone out
Yeah.
before you, had she?
Yeah, she flagged off before us, about 15 minutes before us.
And
Yeah.
you managed
So
to chase her down.
I was given a challenge to catch up with her. Yeah, and I did.
That is
But,
amazing.
Yeah.
And you said that it traumatized you. It was obviously a really challenging race, but left you wanting more.
It did. It shocked me. The Sentosa race there wasn't really any elevation, right? There was steps, but that was about it. For the Hua Hin race, I was down on all fours. I was crawling up super steep, like box. Yeah.
Well,
It did shock.
you got through it, and I guess, as they say, the rest is history. What an amazing journey that you have had since then, and tales of world champs and kids races. Obviously we don't know if this year's world champs will yet go ahead. If it does, can we expect to see you there?
Yes, I was actually really looking forward for that. I mean, it's the first time it's not in US, right? And it's in Abu Dhabi. I really want to go and see Abu Dhabi. I've never been there, so it will be a race and a holiday. So I was really looking forward for that. Hopefully, it will come back on.
I think let's keep everything crossed, and hopefully we should see, as you mentioned, it's normally in America and it's normally very cold, so it will be refreshing to have, seeing as we train in the heat, it'll be nice to have a race that might be a bit more suited to our climate. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed we'll be seeing you there, and we'll keep an eye on your performance for sure. So Hera, I've just got one more question for you. If I am listening to this and I have not dipped my toe into OCR yet, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure. Why should I do it? Get me hooked.
It is torture. It is brutal. It is insane. But everybody comes back for more. Everyone comes out of the race saying, "Oh my gosh, that was horrible." Even I do that. We all come out of the race talking about how crazy it was, how much we got trashed by it. But we're all asking, when's the next race? I think the satisfaction when you finish the race, when you clear the obstacles, when you know you have improved, is brings everyone back. The community is nice. Everyone's really caring. Everyone helps each other out. Yeah, I think those are really good reasons why you should come and join us. And you can train. You can build yourself mentally, emotionally. You grow from being in OCR. It pushes you to a whole new level.
Amazing. I don't think Spartan could have said it better themselves, so maybe we should get you a job in their marketing team as well. Hera, I think you've said so much, you've shown so much inspiration and so much passion. I will link, if it's okay with you, I will link your Instagram to the show notes as well, because if people want to follow your journey, that will be a great way for them to do so. Thank you so much for your time. And I will speak to you soon. Send my love to the whole Shaker clan. Thanks, Hera.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
And And that concludes this episode of the OCR Review. We hope you enjoyed it and we'd love to hear from you, so please hit us up on our social media channels. You can email us at theocrreview@gmail.com, find us on Instagram at the OCR Review, or on Facebook at the OCR Review.
Remember to send us your thoughts, questions and suggestions for future episodes, and please do subscribe on Spotify, Apple or your podcast platform of choice and leave us a review. We've been
Ilona.
Jay,
Sean
And Jessie.
and this is the OCR Review. Thanks for listening.